Perek Vav, page Pei, opposite of page 158. So the last 2 weeks we took a little of a detour that extended brackets, which we learned, and now we're back on track. So in Perek Daled we spoke about this idea. There's Havaya, there's Elokim, there's Shemesh and Mogen. The Shem Havaya, the name of Yudke Vavke, is like the Shemesh, it's like the sun. That is the koyach of Hashem, the energy of Hashem, Hashem's Chesed, Hashem's Gedula, which is so great and so infinite that it creates an infinite amount of creations. And then there is the Shem Elokim, which is Hashem's Gevurah, also known as the Nartik, or we learned also it's the Kalim, and that is what limits the Ur, what gives every creation its identity, and it limits it and it hides it in order that creation should be able to exist and still be a Metzias, in order it should be a Yesh. So those are the two forces involved in creation. And with that we continue. Perek Vav. Vehaemunah. Shem Elokim, the name Elokim, hu Shem Midas Hagvura v'Hatzimtzum. Shem Elokim is the midah of Hashem's Gevurah and Hashem's capacity for tzimtzum, for contraction. V'lachein, therefore, hu gamkein b'gematria hateva. Therefore, the name Elokim has a gematria of 86, and that is the same gematria as hateva. This is the Shaar is the one who brings this down first, this idea that the name Elokim is b'gematria of hateva. They're both the gematria of 86. And as mentioned, when two words share the same gematria, that shows on a certain relationship between the two of them. Why? Because what is the function of Teva? Lefisha master ha'ir shalamayla Teva, its function is it conceals the light from above, hamahava umachaya olam, which creates and gives life to the world, v'nira, and causes it to seem kilo olam oimed umnisnahig b'derech hateva, as if the world is standing and runs according to Teva. So the word Teva actually has, it's related to two words. First of all, you have the Gemara, the Mishnah in Brachas, I believe it's a Mishnah in Gittin, Kol HaMeshana miMatbeya Shatavu Chachamim. The word Teva is related to the word Matbeya, which means a coin. And what's the relationship between Teva and a coin, or matbeya? Matbeya means, over there it's talking about, matbeya means the canonized text. A coin, when you mint a coin, so it's hard, well, it's immovable, it's formed, it's in a certain shape. So Teva also it's very firm, it's very rigid. It has its rules to it. Here's what could happen, here's what can't happen. Okay, an egg you can hatch chicken out of an egg, you can't hatch an avocado out of an egg. That's just the rule of Teva. Teva has its rules, and that's one reason why it's called Teva. Lashon matbeya shetavu chachamim, which means this is a rigid system which Hashem put into this world, which is a system of gvul, and that comes from Shem Elokim, because as I mentioned, miracles, which is when we leave Teva, we leave the rules, we leave the rigidity, that comes from Shem Havaya. There's another root for the word Teva brought down in Chassidus, which is Melashon to sink, like Tubu b'Yamsuf. When something sinks into the Yamsuf, when something sinks into water, so it's there, but it's in a concealed form. The same thing is also what Teva does is, it conceals the Chayis Eliki, the divine energy. The divine energy which is in all the worlds. We look at the worlds and we don't see it. Why? Because it's sunk into Teva. Because when we see the world that's behaving in a certain way, and every single day the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west, that's Teva, and that belies and that hides and conceals the oil which is within it. So you have these two aspects of Teva, but bottom line is, where does Teva come from? Teva comes from Shem Elokim, which is why it has the same gematria. Whereas Shem Havaya, obviously Shem Havaya is revelation as opposed to concealment, and Shem Havaya also doesn't have any limitations and it's not rigid and there are no rules that it follows. V'Shem Elokim zeh, this Shem Elokim, who magin v'nartik, is a shield and a sheath, l'shem havaya, covering up the energy of Shem Havaya. Lahalim ha'ir v'achayis, it conceals the light and the energy hanimshach mishem Havaya, that comes from Shem Havaya. Umahava ma'ayin liyesh, that energy which creates the world from nothing to something. Shaloi yizgalu nevroim. Shem Elokim and Teva causes that the energy of Shem Havaya should not be revealed to creations. Because what would happen if this energy would be revealed to creations, then everything would be batal b'metzias mamish. Bechinas Gevurah zu v'tzimtzum hazeh, this Gevurah and this tzimtzum, hu gam kein bechinas chesed, sha'olam yibana boy. It's also really, this Gevurah is really chesed. In fact, v'zui bechinas Gevurah haklula b'chesed. This is the Gevurah that is included and contained in chesed. Hashem wants to create a world. That's chesed. Chesed means hashpah. Chesed means giving. Chesed means producing. Chesed means creating. The problem is that if there's only chesed, if there's only Shem Havaya and that energy,
cannot exist.
Then Hashem's original intention in creating the world would not be fulfilled, because Hashem wants a world which is a yesh, that is integral to the whole plan. That Eibishter wants a world. Why did he create a world? Hashem wants a world because he wants a world which is yesh, a world which views itself as a metzias, and therefore we have free choice, and we can do the right thing, we can do the wrong thing, and we work to reveal Elokus. We work to reveal godliness within a world wherein Hashem is hidden. The problem is that Chesed alone, Shem Havaya alone, can't do that. So what do we have? We have Gevurah haklula b'Chesed. Chesed also contains Gevurah, because sometimes Chesed needs to employ Gevurah in order to be able to fulfill its plan. And we have that all the time, where Chesed and Gevurah cooperate and work together. For example, a parent who loves their child very much, when they discipline their child, so the discipline is Gevurah, but ultimately it's coming from a place of Chesed. So here also we have, ultimately it should come from, ideally it comes from a place of Chesed. So here also Hashem's Gevurah, this Midas, this Shem Elokim, Midas HaGevurah, which we're talking about, and by the way, it's very important to note, the Rebbe says, this Gevurah that we're talking about, this Tzimtzum that we're talking about, is really Chesed. In other words, the Tanya is Gevurah, which is Gevurah, as they say, Neto, pure Gevurah. But that's not the Gevurah. When we're talking here about Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim, and the Chesed and Gevurah, the Hagadol Vagiber, we're not talking about pure Gevurah. We're actually talking about a Gevurah which is a subset of Chesed. The fact that we have these two midas, Chesed and Gevurah, and there's a skalulus between them, and again, a skalulus is one of those words in Chassidus and Kabbalah that's hard to translate. I think we've discussed this before. A skalulus means when you have two intertwined.
It's like a hybrid.
A hybrid. The skalulus is the hybridization, maybe another. You have another
entity.
That's actually a good word. Hybrid, this hybriding of these two midas, Gevurah and Chesed, from the fact that we have that nira la'ayin, it's very obvious to the eye, it's evident, the iyu v'garmohi chad, that Hashem is one with His midas. Shehein midasav. Garmohi is the Kabbalistic term for Hashem's midas. Because the midas are completely one with Hashem, therefore they unite one with another, and they're included, contain one from another. As Eliyahu Navi says in Tikkun Yisrael, you, Hashem, you're the one who ties them together. That's talking about the midas of Atzilus. And you unite them. And without you, less Yichuda, there is no unity be Eloi in the higher worlds, Chulu, etc. So Teva makes a statement over here. Gevurah and Chesed are opposites from each other. And nevertheless, what are we seeing over here? we're seeing that over here, Gevurah and Chesed are cooperating fully. That's called Hiskalulus. Gevurah is becoming a tool of Chesed. This is the as we have in during Sfiras Oimer, Gevurah Sheba Chesed.
Is there ever Gevurah not with Chesed?
Yeah. That results in klippas. The tzimtzumim, which result in the severe klippas, that's Gevurah without Chesed.
Gevurah gone bad.
I don't know if it's gone bad. There's a kavanah in that also, but there is no chesed inside there.
Everything, even bad, comes from.
Okay, it's a conversation all for itself. But beferish, there is this distinction over here that we're talking specifically about the gevurah klula b'chesed at this point. So the Alter Rebbe says, the fact that we have these two midos cooperating and interacting together so beautifully, that itself indicates to us that the midos of Atzilus, that this Chesed and Gevurah of Atzilus that we're talking about, are completely one with Hashem. And because they're one with Hashem, therefore we can have two opposites coexisting. That's a rule, we've discussed this before, that the only way that two opposites can coexist is if they're both completely bottled to something which is greater and higher than it. And the example we spoke about towards the end of L'Kutei Amarim actually is fire and water, and the Makkah of Bara that we say Oiseh Shalom b'Meremov. Well, fire and water, why can't fire and water come together? Either the water is going to be extinguished, either the fire will be distinguished or the water will evaporate. But here we have, by Makkah's Barad, we have that. Now why is it the fire and water can't come together? It's because water is Chesed and fire is Gevurah, and the two opposites can't coexist. How do they coexist together by Makkah's Barad? So the Medrash tells us that this is what it means, Oiseh Shalom b'Meremov. He who makes peace in his heavens, that Hashem called in Michal and Gavriel. Michal is the Shaar of water, because Michal is a Chesed angel, and Gevurah is the Shaar Shal because Gavriel is Gevurah, as his name implies, Gavriel. And the Eibishter says, listen, I need to bring a Makkah and Mitzrayim, I need you guys, I need for a week time, I need you to get together. And that's what happened, and that's why we had, because Oiseh Shalom b'Meremov, because Michal and Gavriel made peace with each other, what that resulted was that down here we were able to have Makkah's Barad, because everything that happens down here is a shtalshalus, is a byproduct, an effect of that which happens above.
We know in the end of the day, the Gar Ze'ev Im Keves is exactly what's happening here. Exactly.
Very possible. It's the same. Very possible that it's the same. Same idea. Yeah, at play. So how is it that Chesed and Gevurah and Atzilus cooperate together? There we have Havaya and Elokim, Chesed and Gevurah. Taka is the Gevurah Klula b'Chesed, but at the end of the day it's Gevurah. How are they cooperating so completely? This is because they are both completely one and bottled to the Eir and Sof, and therefore you can have two opposites that can coexist.
What's your function in Olam Atzilus, Chesed and Gevurah? We're in a different world, so.
The function of everything in the higher worlds is our world. Everything was created for our world. Their point is to bring Chesed and Gevurah into this world, ultimately. Now the Rebbe points out something fascinating. We say over here that because the midos are biskalulus one another, this is a siman that they're one with Hashem. Because as Eliyahu Navi says, "Amtu dekasher loin b'yachad loin." The idea of bringing two opposites together is something which is unique to Hashem. Hashem is the one who is able to tie together and unite opposing entities with each other. The problem is, we see that in our world all the time. Chesed and Gevurah cooperating. In the example that I gave beforehand, Chesed and Gevurah, when a parent disciplines a child, it can come from Chesed, and yet the tool is Gevurah. In fact, every single time, not every single time, but many times when a teacher teaches, again, we have over here a combination of Chesed and Gevurah. That the Chesed is the desire to teach, the desire to be mashpia. On the other hand, if it's an instance where the Rav and the Talmud, the teacher and the student are on very different levels, and the teacher can't give over to the student everything that's going on in the teacher's head, so it's necessary for the teacher to make a tzimtzum, which is midas ha-gevurah, and to impart a small idea, part of idea, a watered down idea which the student can receive. Once again, Chesed and Gevurah cooperating. Why are we saying that this is something which is unique in the world of Atzilus, which comes about because Antu de Kosher line and Miyachid line, it's something special that the Eibishter does.
You have it in cooking.
Sorry?
You have it in cooking also. You have a pot between the water and the fire.
Which that's almost like the Nartik for Shem Havaya. So the Rebbe says a profound idea. He says, whenever you have in our world Chesed and Gevurah cooperating with each other, working together, is because one of them has weakened the other. They're not both working at full force. Because if they're both working at full force, then they clash. That's impossible for them to coexist. Right? But not only that, so when the parent disciplines the child, if the parent is very angry at the time, which is the way it should not be, obviously, and disciplines the child in that way, then it's completely Gevurah. So if Gevurah is at its full capacity, there is no cooperation. If the parent at this moment is overflowing with Chesed, then once again the discipline is not going to work. The Gevurah has to somehow, somewhat, at this point, weaken or dilute the Chesed, and then it can kick in. The same thing is also when the teacher is teaching. It's what happens is the Gevurah actually weakens the Chesed. That which is being revealed is only a very small amount. By Hashem we have something which we have no parallel for that over here in this world. And that is, the Chesed is 100% full force, and the Gevurah is also 100% full force. And this is going back to the theme which we spoke about 2 prakim ago.
Would they be canceled out of each other? If each one is full force, there has to be some form of...
Let me explain, before you can ask a question, let me explain what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hashem's Chesed, when we say L'cha Hashem HaGedula, Hashem's Chesed creates an infinite amount of worlds. There is no limitation on Hashem's Chesed. Infinite amount of worlds, infinite amount of creations. Not only that, it accomplishes the greatest accomplishment possible in Chesed, which is Bria Yesh Mi'ayin. It creates something out of nothing, which is again the ultimate Chesed. We don't even have that in our world. In our world, we're busy doing Chesed with that which exists. And Hashem here is busy creating Yesh Mi'ayin. That Hashem's Chesed creates Yesh Mi'ayin, an infinite amount of creations. So Hashem's Chesed is not being weakened by the Gevurah in any which way. The Gevurah, on the other hand, remember we said Hashem's Chesed takes the Ayin and makes it into Yesh. Hashem's Gevurah takes the Yesh and makes it into Ayin. The true Yesh, which is, in other words, really what is the natural state? There's only Hashem and everything else is nothing. Hashem takes that nothing and makes Yesh out of it. That's Hashem's Chesed. And it does it with absoluteness, in an infinite way. Hashem's Gevurah takes the Yesh, which is Hashem, and makes it into Ayin. We look and we don't see Hashem. Absolute hiddenness. Here we are existing within the full force Chesed. We're existing within the Chesed, which is 100% Chesed, and we are experiencing 100% Gevurah. In other words, the concealment and the feeling of Yeshus that we have is absolute. So here we have Chesed and Gevurah cooperating with each other, neither one of them compromising an inch. How is that possible? Think about that. Let's say there's a relationship. So you can have 2 people who are opposing each other. How can they get along with each other? It's possible. Each one compromises a little. But here there is no compromise. But it's not that there is no compromise, but they're working in opposite ways. Chesed is working with Gevurah, through Gevurah. It's not that we have 2 foes and they're battling each other. No, they're complete opposites. Their functions are 100% opposite, and they're working in utter harmony to bring about the same effect, which is Brias Ha'olam. That's only Hashem. That's Antu de Kosher Lein Miyachid Lein. Only Hashem can accomplish something of that sort. And how is it? Because as we mentioned, you can have 2 opposites, but when they're in the presence of something infinitely greater than them, they're both mizbatel And therefore, they're not a contradiction to each other anymore, because both of them is only focused on doing the will of Hashem. So Chesed and Gevurah, above the Havai and the Elokim, which we're talking about, they work together, they function together, and from this we see how the Midas of Atzilus are absolutely one together with Hashem. V'zeu shekasuv, and this is what the pasuk says, and this is going back to the pasuk with which we opened up the Shaar Vehaemunah, v'yadata hayoim v'asheves alavavecham, that you should take to your heart, ki Hashem hu Elokim. Okay, today you're going to walk out with a new understanding of Hashem hu Elokim. We say it every year, and Yom Kippur we say it 7 times, and we have it many single times. We say Naleinu, it's in Torah, Ani Hashem Elokechem, Hashem hu Elokim, right? What does it mean? So Pashat Pshat, you look in Rashi, that Hashem Elokim, you have it already in Bereshis, in Chumash, in Parshas Bereshis, that Hashem is Elokim. Elokim is Maloshan, the one who is in charge of the Shaar, the Moshel, the one who, Elokim is Maloshan Dayan, Elokim is Maloshan Adnus, the master. Hashem is the master. But here we're going to have a deeper understanding. Hashem hu Elokim means that we look at Hashem, the name Shem Havaya. Shem Havaya is Hashem's Chesed. Hashem is infinite power to create. And then there's Elokim, which is Hashem's power to conceal and hide. V'yadata hayoim yishinov asher ve'esel avecha ki Hashem hu Elokim. It's one and the same. Havaya and Elokim is the same thing. Because Elokim is the Gevurah haklula b'chesed. Elokim is the Gevurah which is included in the Chesed. And therefore, it's not that we have two opposing agendas working against each other. They're Havayu Elokim. It's all one thing.
Usually Chesed and Rachamim goes together, no?
We're not addressing the difference between the two right now. Chesed and Rachamim, for the purposes of our conversation, it could be the same thing. Ki Hashem Elokim Pirush Shnei Shemis Elu, that these two names, Heim Echad Mamish, is one thing. Shagam Shem Elokim, that also the name Elokim, Hametzam Tzemu Ma'ilem Oyer, which contracts and hides the Oyer, the energy, who Bechinas Chesed, is also Chesed. Elokim is also Chesed, K'moi Shem Havaya, just like Shem Havaya is. Mishum, because Shemidoyis of Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Misyachdis Imei B'Yichud Gamor. And why is that? Because the Midas of Hashem, as explained, are absolutely one with Hashem. V'hu Shmei Echad, and Hashem and His names are one, right? Vehaemunah Hashem Echad U'Shmei Echad. Shemidoisav ain't Shmeisav. We know that what are Hashem's names are Hashem's midos. The different names are all reflect Hashem's different midos. So Hashem is one with all His names. Hashem is one with all His midos. So therefore, the first thing that we have to do is, the beginning of this pasuk is V'yadata Yom V'shavei Salavavecha Ki Hashem hu Elokim. We have to know, we have to take to heart. We look around and we see a Helen V'Hester, we see a Teva, and we tend to think sometimes that this is a separate force which is working against the force of Gilui. I'm not talking about, the Christian view that there's, lahavdil, that there's Hashem and then there's the devil which is opposing that. It's possible even to consider that Hashem put two different forces into creation, and there is this friction in between them. There is the koyach of Gilui, the koyach of Chesed, there's the koyach of Gevurah, and no, there is no such thing. There's Havaya hu Elokim. It's one thing. It's all Hashem's Chesed, and Hashem's Chesed employs the Gevurah, and even though they're talking two opposites, they're working in tandem mamish to bring about this world. So this world, and the final result that we see over here, which is a world which feels to be a yesh, and a davar bifnei atzmi, and mitzias, that's all the combination of Havaya and Elokim. Now we finish the pasuk. What's the Ain Od. Once we understand that Hashem and Hashem and Elokim are one, im kain, if so, memela automatically, Teda, you would know, whether you're going to the highest spiritual heaven, or even even in this lowest physical world. Ain Od, there's nothing other than Hashem. Pirush, meaning, Shagam ha'aretz hachumris, even this material, this physical corporeal land, Shanidas yesh gomer le'ein koil, that To the eye, to the naked eye, it seems to be a yesh gomer, complete yesh. He ayin ve'efes mamish legabe kadosh baruch hu. Is nothing, absolutely nothing to Hashem. Ki shem Elokim eine meilim u'mitzamtzim el tachtoinim, because the name of Elokim only hides only from our perspective, from the perspective of the tachtoinim. Ve'loy legabe kadosh baruch hu, but not from Hashem's perspective. Why? Ma'achar shehu u'shmoi Elokim echad, because Hashem is one with Elokim. V'lachein, and therefore gam aretz mitachas la'aretz hein ayin ve'efes mamish lagabe kadosh baruch hu. Therefore also this world, and even that which is beneath the land, is absolutely nothing to Hashem. In some places in Chesed, it's brought down the mashal for this. In halacha, you know that we make a bracha, we say we're daven, so we have to have our head covered. That's a halacha. I mean, obviously, many Yisrael is that we have our head covered all the time, but the halacha is for davening and for learning. So, can you cover up your head with your hand? Say, Rabbi Yamakar, you're allowed to cover up your head with your hand.
No,
You're not allowed to. Why not?
because it's the same body. It's
Can someone else cover your head with their hand?
probably not.
Oh, so the answer is yes. The answer is yes. By the way, if you're running in the street and your yarmulke falls off, you should put your hand on your head. We're talking here about, but in terms of for davening or for making a bracha, your own hand isn't enough, but someone else can put their hand on your head and you can make a bracha. And why is that? Because the first thing that you said, the words is used as Ain etzam mechas al etzam. I can't cover myself with myself. Think about that for a second. If the point is that I should be covered, then I can't cover myself with myself because I'm still uncovered. Because
You have that by talking, and also
You can cover your
your face with a bare arm. You have to have something on.
I'm not sure it's the same reason.
You can.
I'm not sure. What?
You can cover your shel rosh with your hand if you're in a dirty place.
Okay, we're really not.
You can do it.
Okay, Emir Hashem will start a halacha shir here and we'll get into all this. I'm just bringing out a very simple nukuda which is brought down in Shulchan Aruch, which is you can't cover yourself with your own hand, but someone else's hand could cover you. And the same idea applies over here. Once we understand that Chesed and Gevurah are operating together, then from Hashem's perspective, nothing is concealing him because he's covering himself. Because Hayin Elokim, which is Gili, and Elokim, which is Gevurah and Tzimtzum, is the same thing. So from our perspective, the final result of this working, this harmonious marriage between Chesed and Gevurah is that we look at a world and we see a world that's Yesh. But from Hashem's perspective, it's not that way. And this is a very important point that the Rebbe is adding over here. If Chesed and Gevurah were two different forces that were not working together, if Hashem unleashed one force, which is Chesed, and its purpose is to give the energy to create, and then there was a force that was counteracting it and was not working together with it, it had a different agenda, and that was Gevurah, and that was concealing. Then you would not be able to say, first of all, you can't say Hashem Hu Elokim in that case, but not only can't you say Hashem Hu Elokim, you can't say that from the perspective of Havaya, there is no world. And for sure not from the perspective of Elokim. You have here an entire Elokim, and what is the purpose of Elokim? Is to create a Yeshua Metzias. So there is a Yeshua Metzias. If you have two opposing forces, so then there's one force. And that force, the force of Elokim, the force of Tzimtzum and Helem, its purpose is to create something which is a Yesh. And that force is true also, Kavi Yachol, from Hashem's perspective. But since we have Kiavayu Elokim, since we're saying over here that the Shem Elokim that we're talking about over here is the Gevurah, Klula B'Chesed, there's the Gevurah, that's the Klula B'Chesed, they work together unbelievably. So then, there's Taka, Ain Od. There's nothing. The concealment is also Hashem. The revelation is Hashem and the concealment is Hashem, and it's the same. Havayu Elokim. So Hashem's perspective, there's nothing other than me. I'm the revelation, I'm the concealment. It's all the same me. It's all one. To continue, Ve'enan nikrois b'shem klal, and therefore, from Hashem's perspective, the world, you can't even give it any name. Afilu b'shem oid. You can't even call it oid. We're saying Ain Od. Ki Hashem hu Elokim b'shamayim imav v'aretz mitachas. Ain Od. What does Ain Od mean? So Pashut Pshat, Ain Od means there's nothing else. The Alter Rebbe is going to say that the word oid over here, the word oid also can mean something which is a davar tafel, something which is secondary, of secondary importance, something unimportant. Ain oid, there isn't even something which is oid, there isn't even a tafel. Now, Ain Od doesn't mean there is no other Eibishter. Ain Od means there isn't even another Mitzias which is subservient or subjugated or tafel to Hashem. That also not. So Shulash and tafel, the word oid describes something which is a tafel, something which is secondary, not as important. K'may Merazal, the Gemara says in Masechtas Kedushin, Yehuda v'oid l'kra. The Gemara there is talking about a person who marries a woman and he thinks he's cute and creative. So instead of saying Hareyat Mikudesh Asli, he says, if I remember correctly, he says Hareyat Charufasi. Like a Shifcha Charufa. And then you go to Bezdin, is it good, is it not good? What does that mean? Anyways, the Gemara brings a raya from a pasuk, and then the Gemara says, and moreover, in Yehuda in Judea, so they call an arusa charufa. So the Gemara over there asks, Yehuda v'oid l'kra? 1 second, you brought me a raya from a pasuk, and now you're telling me what they do in Yehuda? Once you have a pasuk, do I even need anything else? Even to add it in as a secondary, that's disrespectful. So you can imagine someone comes to you and asks you halacha, and you say to him, well, there's a psak of Rabbi Moshe and the Igros Moshe that says that it's allowed. And I agree. Let's see. You say, Reuven v'oid l'Rabbi Moshe, right? Who are you? Who are you, right? Once the pasuk says something, once you have a right from a pasuk, why do we even need to do that? So the answer of the Gemara gives is irrelevant over there. The point we're trying to bring out of it, what does the word v'oid mean? Yehuda v'oid l'kra. V'oid means, can Yehuda even be a tafel? Can it even be a secondary proof or secondary something to a pasuk? Or, so this world isn't even a oid. This world, Ain Od means, it's not pshat that there is no other Eibishter. It's not pshat, there is no other independent entity. It means there isn't even an entity which is tafel to Hashem. There is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Or, another example of a tafel, ukeguf, shehu tafel l'neshama, v'chayish, like a body, which as we know, a body is tafel, is secondary. There has to be a better word than secondary. Better translation for tafel.
Subordinate.
Subordinate. No, the opposite.
Subordinate would be a good word.
So subordinate, okay? Of secondary importance, almost like, yeah, to the neshama and the chayis which is within it. Obviously, everyone knows that as important as the body is, that it's only a vehicle for the neshama. And as we know, once the neshama leaves, so...
It's body.
Yeah, so the body, we bury the body. The body is only a tafel. And by the way, the Alter Rebbe adds in, there's an interesting pirush in a pasuk. This is why we say in davening in Tehillim, Ahalala Hashem b'chayai, azamra lalikai ba'oidi. So this is the Alter Rebbe says, Ahalala Hashem b'chayai, I praise Hashem with my life. What is my life? Is my neshama. I praise Hashem with my neshama. And azamra lalikai, I sing to Hashem ba'oidi, with my guf. And what is the guf called? The guf is called oid. Why is it oid? Because since a oid is something which is tafel, so therefore the guf is called oid. And then he adds something else. What?
An add-on.
Yeah. Third wheel. Or shachayim nimshachim, and now we understand why we say ahalala havaya b'chayai, azamar lalikai ba'oidi. We associate chayim with shem havaya, and the oid, which is the guf, with shem elokim. Shachayim, the neshama, the chayis, so the neshama, nimshachim comes m'shem havaya. The oid shu aguf, the body, which is hatofel, comes m'shem elokim. Just like we know, havaya and elokim is like the energy and the keli. We learned that, right? Havaya and elokim is the oir and the keli. So in the human being also, the oir and the keli is the neshama and the guf. So therefore the neshama is misyaches, is more attributed to Shem Havaya, and the guf is more to Shem Elokim. So Halala Havaya, my neshama praises its source, which is Havaya and Azamer Lalikai, Ba'oidi, the guf praises its source, which is Shem Elokim. But the relationship of Hashem with the world is not like the relationship of a neshama with a guf. Why? Because the guf exists, but the guf is oid, the guf is a tafel. But on the other hand, Hashem's relationship with the world is Ain Od. It's a very important distinction. The guf exists, it's tafel to the neshama. This world doesn't exist. From Hashem's perspective, as we mentioned, because Shem Elokim, everything that we see is all Shem Elokim, but Shem Elokim is like trying to cover your head with your own hand. Lefi, because Shanashama ain't a mahava guf ma'in liyesh. Why is that? Very simple. Why is it that we say the guf is only tafel to the neshama? Because the neshama doesn't create the guf. Therefore, the guf exists on its own. It exists, but it's a tafel. It's secondary. But Hashem, who creates everything from nothing to something, hakoil batal b'mitzias, that's like everything is absolutely nothing. Like the light of the sun, when it's in the sun, as explained in the previous psukim. And therefore, the pasuk has to warn us. This is very strong words. Hashem tells the Yidden, you should know today and you should take it to heart. In other words, this is something we have to contemplate, we have to think about, we have to internalize. Because it's a very important, we have to, that what? Ki Hashem hu Elokim, Ain Od. Meaning what? Hashem is telling us in this pasuk, don't think that the heaven and all its hosts, and this earth and everything that's in this earth and on this earth, don't think that they are something separate for itself. It's only that Hashem fills this world. Like the neshama fills the guf. You say Hashem and fills the world, and Hashem gives the earth the power to grow things. Hashem gives the different planets the power to move, to orbit. And He moves them, manhigam, and controls them. Just like the neshama, miniyas saguf moves the body, and controls it as it wishes. No, don't make that mistake. That's a very reasonable mistake to make, and this is what Moshe has to tell the Yidden. We all believe in Hashem, so we might think there's a world, and just like, but Hashem is in the world, controlling the world, running the world, just like a neshama enters a body, and everything that happens to the body the body can't move on its own. It's everything the neshama. And that would seem to be a reasonable mistake that a person might make in making that parallel between Hashem and creation and a neshama and a guf. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, Ki Hashem hu Elokim. You have to know that Hashem and Elokim is one thing. And therefore, because Hashem and Elokim is one thing, because the Hester is also part of Hashem's Havaya, therefore, Ain Od, there's nothing else. In truth is this mashal of body and soul is not in any way similar to the nimshal. Because the body and the soul, they're taka separate one from another. Bisharsham, and that separation is at their very source. The neshama doesn't create the body. Where does the body come from? The body comes from the DNA of the father and the mother. The tipa, the drops of the father and the mother. The body grows, the neshama doesn't make the body grow. How does it grow? 9 months, the mother eats, the mother drinks, and that's what gives the body its character, its volume. And afterwards, and afterwards through its own eating and drinking. So therefore, the body has its own existence on its own. It wasn't created by the neshama. Its growth isn't from the neshama. And therefore the body is taka mitzias. Elama, it's oid. It's a mitzias, which is tafel to the neshama. As opposed to the heaven and earth, Shekol atzmusam amuhusam nishavemayim vefasam muchlat. Their entire being, their entire essence is created from absolute nothingness. And rak bidvar Hashem. And this creation is only through the words of Hashem, v'ruach piv yisbarach. And v'gam adayin nitzah dvar Hashem li'olam v'shefeya bem tamid b'chol regad. It's not something that happened 5,000 years ago. In other words, we're parallel. Just as we said, the human being, it wasn't created by the neshama, and afterwards its continued growth and existence isn't from the neshama. And with our world, it's the opposite. It was created by Hashem, and its continued creation and growth is also from Hashem. Because the words of Hashem are still in this world constantly, and constantly infusing it with energy, constantly creating the world from nothing to something, like the creation of light from the sun, within the sun itself. Derech mashal. If so, this world is entirely taka batal b'metzias. The Gabi Dvar Hashem, V'ruach Piv Yisbarach, to the energy of Hashem, Ham Yuchadim B'muhusei V'asmusa Yisbarach, which is one with Hashem. K'mesh Yisbar L'kaman, as will be explained later, Kebitul Eir Hashemesh B'Shemesh, like the light of the sun as it's in the sun. Rak, only Shehein in Gvura Yisav. Oh, that is the Gvura of Hashem. B'midas HaGvura V'atzimtzum. With Hashem is Midas HaGvura. Hashem's Midas HaTzimtzum. Lahastir or Lahalim Achayis HaShefei B'hem, to hide the energy that's within them, that it should seem that the heaven, the earth, and all that inhabits them, as if they're an independent entity. However, but this tzimtzum, this contraction and this hiddenness is only from the perspective of those who inhabit the lowest world. But Hashem, everything to Hashem is garnished. It's mamish like the light of the sun and the sun. The midas hagvura masteres chas Hashem lefanav yizbarach. The midas hagvura doesn't hide Hashem. It's not something of its own. Ella Hayichud Elokim. Sorry. In this Perek. Right. In the first prakim of Shaar Vehaemunah, the Alter Rebbe talks it doesn't talk about the Gevurah at all. It talks only about the Chesed of Hashem. In other words, the Koyach Hamahava. And that's in Perek Aleph, Beis, and Gimel. Only talks about the Koyach Hamahava. And how Hashem is constantly creating, and as a result of that, the world isn't a Metzias. In Perek Daled, the Alter Rebbe introduced something new. In the Perek Daled, the Alter Rebbe begins the Perek, and he says, because the end of Perek Gimel, the Alter Rebbe asks a question. If everything is all the coolest, then why don't we see it? So in Perek Daled, we introduce a new, I say in English, we threw a monkey wrench into it. And what is that? In addition to the Koyach HaMahava, there's the Koyach HaMaster. After we finished that whole conversation in Perek Daled, and then we took a little break or whatever. So now we know there's a Koyach HaMaster, so suddenly we could think that maybe Taka, once again, Hadar Kushila Duchta, that maybe Taka there is something else. Mitzad the Koyach HaMaster, Mitzad Shem Elokim is the Farana Welt. Ein Achanami Mitzad, maybe Mitzad Shem Havaya, there is no world. But there is a certain reality created independent of the Koyach HaMahava, which is creating a Yesh. And maybe there is a Yesh. Comes along this Perek now that we introduce both the Koyach HaMahava. We introduced both the Chesed, and after we introduced also the Gevurah. It was necessary to tie up the pieces by saying that these two elements that we introduced, they're not two different forces that oppose each other, but they work together, and therefore Avayu Elokim, and therefore Ain Od Milvadek. That's the Seder. But we got a little distracted with that long brackets, but that's the Mahalach HaDvarim. But this understanding that we have over here now is a very important understanding, which is that Shem Elokim, which is Teva, is really Havayu Elokim. It's not Pshat that there's Shem Havaya and there's Gili Elokus, and that's good. And then there's the Helam on Hashem, and that's bad. And we have to rip away this Helam. We have to get rid of this Elokim. No, that's not the case at all. Havayu Elokim. It's all part of the plan. And this Elokim is also part of the plan. And our job here in this world is not to rip away the Helam, not to rip away Teva, to destroy Teva. We need to reveal Ki Havayu Elokim. That's our job. Our job is to reveal that the Hastara is also a Elokus. To put it in different words, remember we spoke about in the beginning of Perek Hay. In the beginning of Perek Hay, we talked about that the world was created by Teva, but then there's sometimes cracks in this Teva, and one of the is Nisim, the miracles that there are, that they are a Gili Elokus. So let me ask you, when Mashiach comes, are we going to get finally rid of this Teva and this Hastara and this and it's going to be Nisim every day, everywhere, all the time? Is that what we're looking for? Gili Elokus? So you know that the Rambam says that if Mashiach comes, Elam Kim Hagi Noyik.
Business as usual.
Business as usual. We know that there's a famous Drasha Saran where he says that Teva Yakar Mi'oid Be'enei Hashem. Teva is not a negative thing, which is now the understanding that we have from this Perek, which we might not have had beforehand. We might think that Teva is only a Helam V'Hester and Elokus. And therefore, ideally, we should get rid of Teva. Mashiach comes, no more Teva. But once we understand Havayu Elokim, Teva is also Elokus. It's the hand. It's Hashem's hand covering his head. What do we need to do? We need to reveal that Havayu Elokim. We need to reveal in the Teva that it's also Elokus. That's our avodah.
That's before Mashiach, but after Mashiach.
Also.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To the contrary, this is a very big emphasis in Chassidus, this idea that if you get rid of Teva, that wasn't the purpose of creation. So all you did was you undid creation. You understand? So we're having a Gili Elokus like there is an Atzilus. So then why did we need this world in the first place? No. Hashem didn't create this world with something bad called Teva, which is a gematria of Shem Elokim, only for us to come and rip it away. So now we get to be the world of Atzilus. He didn't have to create this world in the first place. He could have just created Atzilus. No, the job is that we have to find the Eibishter in the Teva. In other words, we have to rip away and look at the world and realize within the current parameters of the world and realize Havayu Elokim. When we sit and we learn this Perek and we're able to look around the world and say, it looks like a Hastara, but it's not. It's only a Eibishter. And that Hastara itself is the Eibishter. When we can find the Eibishter there, that's the Tachlis HaKavana. And that's Taka through Limud Chassidus. This Shabbos and Sunday are special days on the Chabad calendar. When the Mamala Makim of the Alter Rebbe was his son, Rabbi Dave Ber, known as the Mittler Rebbe. And his birthday and the yahrzeit are on Tes Kislev. He was born and passed away on the same day. We know the famous Gemara, Kadosh Baruch Hu Yeshu Mamala Shnei Seim Shel Tzadikim Miyoim Liyoim. It's his birthday and yahrzeit are on Shabbos. And his Chag HaGeula is Yud Kislev, is the day after. He was imprisoned on a false libel, and he was let out of prison on Yud Kislev, the year before he passed away. So Yud Kislev is a Chag HaGeula, and then Tes Kislev is the birthday and yahrzeit. And the Mittler Rebbe, in Chabad, he's known as, we call him Rechoives HaNahar, or Bina. If the Alter Rebbe was Chochma, he was Bina. If you open up a mimer of the Alter Rebbe in Torah Likutei Torah, a mimer which the Alter Rebbe takes up one page, he says the same mimer in 25 pages. And I'm not being magzim. He takes the concepts of the Alter Rebbe. You could open up the Sfarim over here. You could look at them. Torah's Chaim over there. take the same mimer of the Alter Rebbe in Torah Or, and you'll take this, open up the Torah's Chaim, and find the same mimer there. It's 10 times as long. He explains everything very, very well and very, very detailed. And that's what's called Bina to Chachma. Chachma, as we know, is more the seminal ideas, and Bina is the ideas as they're more processed and fleshed out. He would say Mamorim for hours and hours and hours, and there's like a story once that I think he said in Maimer 14 hours. In other words, his life was Chassidus. Saying Chassidus and learning Chassidus and teaching more Chassidus and more Chassidus and more Chassidus. When he was imprisoned, so he wasn't in jail. He was in house arrest in the city of Vitebsk, and he wasn't feeling well. And the doctor came, and the doctor told the government that for his health he needs to say Chassidus, and therefore he was given a medical leave to say Chassidus a few times a week, to have some Chassidim come into his house where he had house arrest, and he had to say Mamarim Chassidus. It was simply necessary in order for his health. Ad Kedei Kach was his shaykhis to Chassidus.
Jewish doctor?
I don't know.
I can use
What
a
do you know
doctor's
about
note like
Hasidus?
that.
What? And then,
That's a good note. Good doctor's note.
listen, we all know doctors are almost all Jewish, right?
What?
Almost all doctors are Jewish. We know that, right? Jewish profession. I don't know. Weiß nicht. When he passed away in Yud Kislev, he had a istalkus, which the Tzemach Tzedek said about that. The Tzemach Tzedek was his son-in-law and his nephew. He took him over, said that since the times of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, there had never been such a istalkus like that. He was deathly ill, lying in bed, unresponsive.
Very young.
Sorry?
He was young too.
He was young, yeah. He was 54. And unresponsive. And someone said, I'm not sure if it's a Tzedek or someone said, you want to see a response? Ask him to say Chassidus. So they asked him to say Chassidus, and sure enough, he got up, he sat up in bed, and he started saying Chassidus. And in the middle of Chassidus, when he got to the words, Ki imcha mikar chayim, when he said the word chayim, and he passed away at those words. It was a himmelish histalkus. And he would say that his greatest wish is that when two Chassidim bump into each other on the street, they should start talking about Yichud Elah and Yichud Tata. Now, in case you don't know what Yichud Elah and Yichud Tata is, that's next year. Perek Zayin, we're going to learn what Yichud Elah is, Shema Yisrael and Yichud Tata. His dream was that when Chassidim would meet each other, that what is in their mind? Their minds is only Limud Chassidus, is Pashut Chassidus. And Taka, the Chassidim of the Mittler Rebbe were very derheben Chassidim. Historically, it's known that they were poor people and they didn't care, and they Pashut, they were Oisik in Chassidus, they learned Chassidus, and that was where their minds were at. It was a derheben generation.
Which town is this?
Which town was what?
Where the Mittler Rebbe.
He was in Lubavitch. The Mittler Rebbe was the one who moved the Chassidus to Lubavitch. Basically, the Alter Rebbe, he ran away from Napoleon, and he passed away while he was run away. The city where he was in, which is Liadi, was destroyed by Napoleon. So when the Mittler Rebbe became Rebbe, he had to find a new place where to go.
I see.
And Liadi was an option, but for whatever reasons, he moved to Lubavitch because the previous infrastructure was destroyed. So he moved it to Lubavitch, and that's where it was for around 100 years. That's where it remained. But he's the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, actually. Alter Rebbe is the first Chabad Rebbe, but technically the Mittler Rebbe is the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. Yeah. But this is the avodah of being able to immerse our minds in Chassidus, and then be able to look at a world, and there is a Hastara over there is a Hester, and there is a Hashem and Elokim, and to be able to look at it and say, you're not true. What do you mean you're not true? You're also Eibishter. You're also Eibishter. You're hiding. You think that you're hiding the Eibishter. I'm going to laugh at you because I know that you're also Eibishter. And Teva is also Elikus. According to the Mesorah, so we know now is Yud Kislev is the Chag HaGula of the Mittler Rebbe. And then a little more than a week later, Yud Kislev is the Chag HaGula of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe when he went out of prison on Yud Kislev. And these are associated with the pasuk Pada b'Shalom Nafshi. In fact, the Alter Rebbe writes in a letter that he wrote to Rabbi Yitzchak after he was released, he wrote that when I was saying Tehillim, when I sang the pasuk of Pada b'Shalom Nafshi,
Open the doors.
before I read the next pasuk, Yatsasi b'Shalom Hashem Shalom. That's what he says. And he was saying it, why? Because it was on a Tuesday. And when you're saying Kapitel Tehillim according to days of the week, Kapitel Nun, which is where Pada b'Shalom is on Tuesday. The Mittler Rebbe's was referred on Yud Kislev, and Yud Kislev, if you're following Kislev, if you're following according to the days of the month, Kapitel Nun Hey, where Pada b'Shalom Nafshi is on Yud. So that's the song which is sung on these Yom HaGugulas, is Pada b'Shalom Nafshi. There are many Mamorim, including a very famous Maimor from the Mittler Rebbe, which starts with Pada b'Shalom Nafshi, explaining this. And Pada b'Shalom Nafshi is this idea. This is really what David HaMelech was saying. He's saying, Pada b'Shalom Nafshi, you've turned to Hashem, saying, you've redeemed my soul, b'Shalom, mikravli, from the war that I'm having. Krav is Melashna Melchama. Why? Ki berabim hayu yimadi. What does ki berabim hayu yimadi mean? Because the many were with me. So the Gemara and the Yerushalmi says that ki berabim hayu yimadi. This is what David was saying during or after the war he had with Avshalom. His son Avshalom rebelled against them. And the Gemara, the Yerushalmi says that ki berabim hayu yimadi means that David was saying that Anshe Avshalom were also davening for me. Avshalom's soldiers were also davening for David HaMelech. Even though they were fighting David HaMelech, but I guess deep in their heart, I'm going to try hard to sometimes understand the complexity of the human being, but they were davening for David HaMelech. So why was Pada b'Shalom Nafshi? Why was there b'Shalom? Because be'emes, my enemies also were davening for me. That's why it's not only Pada, but Pada b'Shalom. And that Rebbe made a very big deal in this letter he wrote to the Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev, that he was released and it wasn't any miracle. It was no miracle. He says that I found grace in the eyes of the Sarim and the eyes of the Amim and the eyes of the ministers and the nations. Because our point here isn't to say the world taka is a stira to Elokus. The world taka is something which is oid, something different than the Eibishter, and therefore we have to bring in the Shem Havaya to override it. No, Ain Od. Ain Od means that Havaya hu Elokim. If Havaya hu Elokim, then the world, then you don't need a nest. The Teva is also Elokus, because Havaya hu Elokim. Birabim hayu imadi, those elements of the world that seem to be fighting us are also imadi, are be'emes also really for us. Why? Because Ain Od, because Havaya hu Elokim. So there's nothing that can be menagid to Yid. There's nothing that can be menagid to Torah and Yiddishkeit. Why? Because Havaya hu Elokim. It's all one and the same. So this is a very big understanding in our understanding of the world. It's not that there's an Eibishter, there's a world. And there's a Helam V'Hester. And we have to get rid of the Helam V'Hester. And there's a world, there are different entities. No, Ain Od, Havaya hu Elokim, the Eibishter is one, the Hastara is also him, and therefore Ain Od, therefore there's no world. Why? Because everything is him. Vashar Lachain, how do we look at the world? Everything is Elokus. We don't see it. Our job is to megala it. But there is no enemy really. It's just where we have to reveal, there is no enemy. There is no enemy. All we have to do is reveal the emes of everything, which is that Ain Od Milvadeh. And Amir Tashem, next time we meet, next class, we'll connect this idea to Chanukah, because this mom is very related also to Chanukah. Yom Tov that's coming up. Hayichud, everyone, a good Shabbos.